Okay, adding real numbers. Real numbers include integers, which are whole numbers and their opposites, fractions, and decimals. And fractions, of course, have the mixed numbers in it. The first thing I want to show you is the difference, or a tool that I use to help students remember when to add or when to subtract. Because since we are dealing with integers or positives and negatives, many students get confused when to add and when to subtract. The strategy I use is the scoreboard. So in this example at the beginning, let's go ahead and undo that right there. At the beginning, say we have -8 plus 16. To use the scoreboard, all we do is we separate the two types of numbers, a positive and a negative number, and we take the sign that is immediately in front of each digit or each factor or term. So in this case, we have a -8, so the -8 will come over here as an 8 on the negative side. The 16 has a positive sign in front of it, so we put the 16 on the positive side. If they are on different sides, that means we do subtract these two numbers, just like that. Just 16 take away 8. So we go 16 take away 8, which is 8. And the team that wins, or the team that has the most or the bigger number, will be the sign of the answer. So -8 plus 16 will be a +8. Okay, let's look at it in reverse. Let's change color right here. Look in reverse. Let's say we had a -16 or -20, and we are adding it to a 5. Okay, so same thing here, same concept. We make our scoreboard a plus and a minus sign, and we take the signs in front of it. So we have a -20 here, so that goes on the 20 side, on the negative side, and we have a negative or a +5 that goes on the positive side. So again, these are on two different sides, so we would subtract these two numbers. So we go 20 take away 5 is 15, but this time the negatives have the bigger number, so -20 plus 5 equals a -15. Okay, so those are the answers right there. So getting into fractions, or positive and negative fractions, the first thing we have to remember, anytime we're dealing or adding and subtracting with fractions, we need to have a common denominator. So in this case, we have a denominator of 9 right here and a denominator of 3. So we need to have those have the same denominator. So the LCM, or the least common multiple or least common denominator of 9 and 3 is 9. So we're going to have to rewrite this 1/3 as a fraction of 9. So to do that, I'm going to multiply the top and bottom of this fraction by a 3. So that's going to give us a new column of -3 and 5/9 plus a -2 and 3/9. Okay, so now that they have a common denominator, we can go ahead and do our adding. And in this case, if I think back to the scoreboard, both of these numbers are negative. They will both be on this team over here. So they're on the same team, so I will end up adding these numbers just like normal, but my answer will be negative. Okay, so we're going to have -3 plus a -2, which gives us a -5, and because we just add the whole numbers, and then now we add the numerators together. So we have a 5 plus a 3, which is 8, and we keep the common denominator of 9. So there is that answer. Okay, so now decimals. If you forgot how to add and subtract decimals, what you need to do is line them up when we're adding or subtracting them. So the first thing we're going to notice is that this one has 2 decimal places after the decimal point. This only has 1. So when we combine these or add them, we got to make sure that the decimal points line up with each other. Again, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to add or subtract these numbers, so I'm going to use my scoreboard. So here, my 5.04 is a positive number, so it'll go over here on the positive side. And my 7.1 has both a positive or a plus and a negative sign. Well, plus and a negative together, like if we multiplied, would be a negative. Positive and negative together creates a negative, so this 7.1 will be a negative number. So since they're on different teams, that means we will have to set this up as a subtraction problem. So as I did, I lined up the decimal points, and I notice I have an empty space, so I'm going to fill that empty space with a 0 so that I can go ahead and subtract like normal. I need to borrow from the 1, make that a 0, and this 0 becomes a 10, and go 10 minus 4 is 6, 0 minus 0 is 0, bring down the decimal point, 7 minus 5 is 2, and again the team that had the most points or the bigger number is negative, so my answer is a negative 2.06.